If you want your life to change, you don't need more motivation. You need subtraction, because most people are not failing due to what they lack. They're failing because of what they keep doing. The truth is uncomfortable. Your biggest enemy is not the world. It's not your past. It's not your circumstances. It's the habits you repeat every single day without questioning them. And today, I want you to hear this clearly. If you stop doing just a few things, your energy will return. Your focus will sharpen. Your confidence will rise, not slowly, immediately. The first thing you must stop doing is waiting to feel ready. Read that again. Waiting to feel ready is how dreams die. There is no moment where fear disappears. There is no day where confidence magically arrives. Confidence is built after action, not before it. Most people sit around saying, "I'll start when I'm confident. I'll move when I'm motivated. I'll act when the timing is right." And years pass, nothing changes because readiness is a lie. Action creates readiness. Movement creates confidence, and clarity comes after you move, not before. If you keep waiting to feel ready, you are training your brain to associate fear with stopping, and the brain learns fast. Stop doing that. Do it scared, do it unsure, do it imperfect, but move, because motion beats meditation when your life is stuck. The second thing you must stop doing is seeking validation from people who are not living the life you want. This one destroys more potential than failure ever could. You ask advice from people who never took the risk. You explain your goals to people addicted to comfort. You look for approval from people who quit on themselves. And every time they doubt you, a part of you believes them, not because they're right, but because you allowed access. Let me tell you something real. Everyone has opinions, very few have experience. Stop giving power to voices that never earned it. Because the moment you depend on validation, you become emotionally fragile. You rise and fall based on reactions. That is not strength. That is dependency. Strong people listen selectively. They don't need everyone to understand. They need discipline. They need standards. They need self-trust. And self-trust is built when you stop outsourcing belief, stop explaining, stop convincing, stop defending, work quietly. Let results handle conversations you no longer need to have. The third thing you must stop doing immediately is confusing being busy with being productive. This one is dangerous because it feels like progress. You're always doing something, always tired, always stressed, but busy is not effective. Busy is distraction wearing a mask. Productive people do less, but do it better. They focus on the few actions that actually move the needle. Most people fill their days with low-impact activity to avoid high-impact discomfort. They check emails instead of building skills. They plan instead of executing. They consume instead of creating. And at the end of the day, they feel exhausted but unchanged. Stop that. Ask yourself every day, what is the one action that will move my life forward? Then do that first. Before distractions, before comfort, before excuses, because focus is not about doing more. It's about eliminating everything that doesn't matter, and that takes courage. Now listen closely. The fourth thing you must stop doing is identifying with your past. Your past is information. It is not your identity, but most people carry their past like a life sentence. I failed before. I've always been this way. That's just who I am. No, that's who you were. And if you keep repeating that story, you'll keep recreating the same future. Your brain believes repetition. So if you repeat a weak identity, you'll act weak. If you repeat a strong identity, you'll rise to it. High performers don't deny their past, they redefine it. Pain becomes fuel, failure becomes training, loss becomes leverage. They don't ask, why did this happen to me? They ask, how is this shaping me? That question alone can change your life. Because meaning controls emotion, and emotion controls action. Now pause. If you stopped waiting, stopped seeking approval, stopped staying busy instead of effective, and stopped letting your past define you, your life would accelerate, not slowly, rapidly. This is only the beginning. Now here's where real transformation begins. Stopping bad habits is powerful, but replacing them is what makes change permanent. Because nature hates a vacuum. If you don't replace what you stop, your mind will pull you back to what's familiar. So let's go deeper. When you stop waiting to feel ready, you must replace it with a bias toward action. Action doesn't need confidence. Action creates confidence. Every time you move forward despite fear, your brain records evidence. I acted. I survived. I learned. That evidence becomes belief. and belief fuels the next action. This is how momentum is built, not through thinking, through movement. Now understand this. Fear doesn't disappear when you succeed. It disappears when you prove to yourself that fear doesn't control you. That proof is built quietly, one decision at a time. Now let's talk about validation again. When you stop seeking approval from others, you must replace it with internal standards. Internal standards mean you decide what winning looks like. Not likes, not applause, not opinions. Your standards become your compass. You show up because you said you would. You finish because you committed. You improve because excellence matters to you. This is how leaders are formed. Leaders don't ask, do they like me? They ask, did I do what was required? And when your standards rise, your self-respect rises. Self-respect is the strongest form of confidence because it doesn't depend on feedback. Now, let's address busyness again. When you stop being busy, you must replace it with ruthless prioritization. This is uncomfortable because it forces you to admit that some things don't matter, and letting go of activity feels like letting go of control. But control is an illusion. Impact is real. High performers protect their energy. They don't waste it on low-value tasks. They do the hard thing first, the uncomfortable call, the focused work, the deep thinking. Because discomfort is a signal, it tells you you're doing something that matters. Comfort, on the other hand, usually means stagnation. Now listen carefully. Most people don't lack time, they lack clarity. Clarity creates speed, speed creates progress, and progress creates belief. This is a cycle. Now let's go to the deepest layer, identity. If you want lasting change, you must stop saying, I'm trying. Trying is temporary. Trying leaves room for retreat. Instead, decide who you are. I am disciplined. I am focused. I finish what I start. These are not affirmations. They are commitments. And once you commit to an identity, your behavior will fight to align with it. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your identity. That's why identity work is everything. Now imagine this. What if today you decided to stop negotiating with yourself? What if you decided that your word matters? That when you say you'll do something, it gets done. No drama, no excuses, no motivation required. That decision alone would separate you from most people, because most people break promises to themselves daily. And every broken promise weakens self-trust, but every kept promise, no matter how small, rebuilds it. Now here's a truth that might sting. No one is coming to save you. No perfect time is coming. No sudden clarity will arrive. You change when you decide that staying the same is more painful than changing. And that decision is yours alone. Stop waiting. Stop explaining. Stop staying busy. Stop living in the past. And start acting like the future version of you is watching. Because they are, and one day you will look back at this moment as the moment you stopped tolerating less and demanded more from yourself. This is the moment where everything becomes real, because knowledge doesn't change lives, decisions do, and the most dangerous thing in the world is knowing what to do but continuing to live the same way. So now I want you to listen not with your ears, but with your standards. If nothing changes after this, then nothing changes, not because you didn't understand, but because you didn't decide, and decision is the birthplace of power. Understand this, your life today is a reflection of what you have tolerated, not what you wanted, not what you dreamed of, but what you allowed, every habit you didn't challenge, every excuse you didn't confront, every time you said tomorrow. And tomorrow kept winning, but today that stops, because once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it, and once you see it, you are responsible. Now here's the truth most people avoid. Change is not comfortable. If it feels comfortable, you're not changing, you're rearranging. Real change feels disruptive. It feels awkward. It feels lonely, because you're leaving an old identity behind. And the old identity will fight back. It will whisper, why are you doing this? It wasn't that bad. You're overreacting. That voice is not logic. That voice is habit trying to survive. Do not negotiate with it. You don't negotiate with what's destroying you. You replace it. You overpower it. You outgrow it. Now let's bring this home. From this moment forward, you stop waiting to feel ready. You move first. You learn on the way. You stop asking people for permission to want more from life. You decide what you're worth by the standards you live by. You stop confusing motion with progress. Busy is no longer impressive to you. Impact is. And you stop letting your past decide your future. Your past becomes proof that you survived, not a prison you live in. Now here's the final anchor. Your future is not built by massive one-time decisions. It's built by small daily non-negotiables. The way you start your day, the promises you keep to yourself, the discomfort you choose instead of comfort. That's where power lives, and no one can take that from you. Not failure, not criticism, not circumstances, because once discipline becomes identity, your life becomes unstoppable. So don't leave this message inspired, leave it committed. Commitment means you act even when you don't feel like it. Commitment means you stop negotiating with weakness. Commitment means you demand more from yourself than the world ever will, because the world doesn't reward intentions. It rewards execution. And from this point on, you execute. No announcements, no excuses, no delay, just action, because the moment you stop doing what's holding you back, your life has no choice but to move forward, and that is how everything changes, not someday. Not slowly, but starting now. And now, this is where most people turn away, because this is no longer about motivation. This is about ownership. If your life is not where you want it to be, there is only one explanation. You have been practicing habits that create this result, not because you're weak, not because you're unlucky, but because habits don't ask for permission. They quietly decide your future, and here's the brutal truth. Every time you delay what you know you must do, you train your brain that comfort is more important than growth. Every time you stay silent when you should act, you teach yourself that fear gets the final vote. And every time you say, "I'll start tomorrow," tomorrow learns that it never has to show up. But today is different, because awareness creates pain, and pain, when used correctly, creates change. Now ask yourself this honestly. How much longer are you willing to live beneath your potential? How many more chances are you going to waste waiting for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect confidence? There is no perfect time. There is only now, and the courage to move imperfectly. And listen carefully. Your next level does not require more motivation. It requires a new identity, an identity that says, "I do what needs to be done even when I don't feel like it." An identity that says, "I don't need validation to act." An identity that says, "I keep promises to myself." Because once your identity shifts, your habits follow automatically. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your standards. So raise them, raise what you tolerate, raise what you accept from yourself, raise the standard of how you speak, how you work, how you show up, not someday, today, because the cost of staying the same is far greater than the pain of change. Now here's the final truth that separates the unstoppable from the average. Winners don't wait to feel confident. Confidence is a reward of action. Winners don't wait to feel ready. Readiness is created through repetition. Winners don't talk about change. They live it quietly until results make the noise. And that is why you stop explaining yourself. You stop announcing your plans. You stop arguing with people who don't understand your vision. You don't need their approval. You need your discipline, because when discipline becomes who you are, your life bends in your direction, no matter what happened before. No matter how many times you failed, no matter how long you've been stuck. From this moment forward, you are no longer the person who delays. You are the person who acts. You are no longer the person who starts and stops. You are the person who finishes. You are no longer controlled by habits that weaken you. You build habits that serve your future, and when doubt shows up, because it will, you don't fight it. You move anyway, because action silences fear. So make this decision now. Not emotionally, not temporarily. Decide with certainty that the old patterns end here, that excuses no longer get airtime, that your future self will thank you for the discipline you choose today. And remember this forever. You don't change your life by waiting for a breakthrough. You change your life by becoming the kind of person who never stops breaking through. And once you do that, there is nothing that can stop you. Nothing.